I mean, I hear everybody a little bit. I can live with that.
Okay, we'll just cut this. Has it sounded weird like this, like in your recording after? Does it sound better?
Only the last one could I tell your mic specifically was like blown out.
Like too loud?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And not sounding too loud, but like crackly.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why.
Fascinating stuff. Okay. So glad you came for this. Before our guest today got here, welcome to Momcult. I forget what we do at first. Before our guest today got here, I washed my face with like all my best stuff and put all my nicest smells on and around the house, and got extra irritated that I couldn't find the second, like the pair of my favorite pair of earrings that I've been wearing. Simply put, she knows what's good. She's an aficionado, which is never a good thing to say in this intro part because it just sounds so silly. But it's true of skincare and antique jewelry. She's got a larger than life story to share. And this is where I didn't finish so now I start winging it, and you can probably tell. She recently launched a Substack where her words will live for now, and she's ever evolving in her understanding and connecting dots in her own life, both personally and professionally, that are at once deeply relatable and highly aspirational. She's a tastemaker. That's just what it is.
I'll take it.
I don't know what to say. So I can change that later if you want, but that's the truth. Welcome to Momcult, Brooke Baxter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's great. I think I wrote you. I can't ever write a bio about myself.
It's really hard.
It's so hard.
It is.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
The one on my
about
website
yourself.
was written by a friend of mine. And I was like, cool. That sounds great.
Yeah. I looked at, I felt like good. I know.
My website?
It's paused, right? Isn't that right?
No, it's launched, but this is the most typical like Brooke thing I've ever done. I just didn't announce it. So I should do this whole rollout on my Instagram, and I just haven't.
Because it's
just the
exhausting.
shit I do. Yeah. That's why I'm probably not like the best. We can talk about small business owner and what it takes and promoting yourself and all that stuff is so nuanced and difficult.
Yes.
Well, it also just feels like that's what everybody's doing.
I know.
So you're just like, it's like being in Nashville and having to say you're like a singer-songwriter. It's like, is there another way I could go about doing any of this? Because it feels really oversaturated.
I catch myself in everything that I do, like small business, the umbrella of small business, talking about my brand and like just all of that. And then even like in therapy, where it's like, I'm doing inner child work. And I'm like, is there a different word for all of this? Like, it's not bad. I don't know what the shame around that is. I don't know. I have this life coach, and she's like an Enneagram coach. And so she's like, this is part of you. You're 4. Like, you're always going to like not want to fit into that circle.
Yeah. I think I think about this exact same thing a lot. I think we're all conditioned, maybe in this country or maybe our generation or like both, to be individuals. And then also if you are 4, and then like pushing yourself to be more individual. Yeah. And I feel that same thing. And it's like, I don't know, don't go with the group, blah, blah, blah. But also fit in. And it's
Instagram
confusing.
is the perfect model for like, be different, but do the same thing, because that's how you get seen and liked and all this stuff. And it has to be bright and appealing and and it's like, that's not real, y'all. This is not real. So it's the constant like back and forth of that, of like, am I going to like play into this, or am I going to create a different way to do this that feels authentic and like good to me? And that is the battle that I feel like I'm fighting every day with being myself and like, I don't know, carving that path. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I did the Substack, really. Yeah. Because I was like, Instagram isn't the platform that feels safe to share. It doesn't, like, I have 27,000 followers or something like that on my business account, which has stayed pretty steadily that for years. But 500 people will see my stories out of all of that. So like their algorithm is like the most frustrating thing. And you're taking all this time and sometimes professionally photographing stuff and it doesn't get seen. And so I'm like, I'm going to pour my heart out on this Substack, or have plans to, and nobody's going to see it. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's addictive and all that stuff. So I'm trying to ease off of Instagram.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, you're really good at it.
Thanks.
So are you, Joy.
I have no choice.
You guys both make it look easy. I just froze.
The Momcult Instagram is great.
Thanks.
The branding.
That's Sarah.
No, it's that. I mean, it is, but also not, because it's both of us. Like, and it's also largely your aesthetic. I never would have picked orange, but now I love that. And
Did I pick orange?
Yes, literally.
I was orange.
I feel like Mackenzie gave us options, maybe color options, and we liked the orange one the best. I would credit that to Mackenzie.
It was like early baby time, so I was just like, great. The logo looks great. I don't remember having any insight, but I love it. But the continuity is largely just, I don't have the bandwidth to ever think about changing that. So we just like keep it going.
Zero.
And I keep looking at it and I'm like, oh, it works.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
it's fine.
That's just a tip.
But
if you want to just keep going, you don't have to rebrand every 3 seconds, really.
No, I think if you keep it classic and simple and like, then it lives forever.
So speaking of like inner child work and energy stuff, and we'll do our check-ins in a second, but I just need to, I don't know if this will be helpful or not, but to purge my anxiety about my hair possibly falling out, which I noticed at like 1 a.m. I told you both already, I had like acute anxiety last night. This is just my check-in. That's happened to me twice before, where my hair fell out. Once was right before I had Parker. Once was like another time where it made total sense. It was like after a really awful relationship. And the time after Parker was like my dad was not doing well at the time. He's great now.
Oh, good.
But
go dad.
Thank you.
We need the dads.
Yeah. What was the thing? Just, I had like a bald spot. So I'm wondering if that, and I was.
Do you violently sleep?
I don't think so. I do sleep. I fall asleep on the couch. Like it's like an action. I don't know what to call it. It's like another complex. But I'm really trying to sleep upstairs. I don't know. That sounds crazy. Or does it? I don't know. Hear people say that they do that.
I have a divot in my couch. I mean, I call it the COVID dip because I just like planted my ass there for an entire year. Mm-hmm. And I try and get off the couch too. It makes me unhappy. Like that's like a recipe for a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like a toxic trait. Mm-hmm. The point was what?
Although you have a restoration hardware couch, don't you?
Yes,
so do I.
It's very comfortable.
They're like beds. That's deep. Part of the problem. Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes
my feet don't touch the ground.
I know. I have the velvet version of that couch.
Ooh,
and
that's
like
nice.
It's fucked.
So it's a velvet
Can I cuss
divot.
on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're allowed to cuss?
Yeah, we actually are. We say that we're like rate ourselves that we would never, basically, but we do, and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw a stand-up comedian one time. He's from Idaho. I forget his name. So funny. And he didn't say one curse word his entire stand-up. And I was like, that is an art.
Yeah. I think being clean is like the hardest.
And you can be hilarious.
Seinfeld was big on that.
Yeah. Oh, I fall asleep to Seinfeld every night.
Nice.
I did for a long time. I might circle back to that. I'm on the Gilmore Girls right now.
Ah.
Feels good. Feels safe.
Feels like fall.
Totally.
Yeah. I might start it. You've Got Mail.
So 1 a.m.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You're a good friend. You're like, let's loop it back.
Such
keep
a good friend. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just freaked out that my hair might be. But I was going to say, I feel like I'm like manifesting it to happen because I don't even know if it's happening.
Psychosomatic.
But it's been feeling a little thin. That didn't even occur to me because it's been so long. And then I was like, wait, oh God. And then I'm like, what if it's the whole? Okay, but am I doing it right now? Am I making it happen? How do I undo that? Is there like a...
You have to flip the script on it. Like, and you have to, if it is happening, you have to do these things.
Which are?
Okay. Okay. Remember when I used to have a bleach and tone. It's called a bleach and tone. It's like winter hair from the scalp to the end.
Yes.
And it was very white, but also for years, very not damaged. And this is my dark brown hair color. Mm-hmm. And this woman, Nina Carews in Los Angeles, started this hair care line called Najeau, Najeau. And it's all about scalp health. And so she does she has like a scalp massager and like different oils that you can oil, which it sounds counterintuitive would be the word, to put oil on your scalp. But it actually like I lost a lot of controversial opinion, but I think it was from the COVID vaccine. My hair was like falling out in clumps. And I used her product to like get my hair to grow back around my like kind of temples up here. And it really worked. And it's super simple, and I can like send you all the links. But she's from Lebanon, and she uses like, it's olive oil based, and it's her family's, they import it from Lebanon. It's a beautiful product. They sell it at Holiday. She sells it, but it's awesome. And you have to stimulate that area to grow hair back, not lose it. So I think that's the switch that you might need to flip in your head of like, you're not losing your hair. You're growing
you're gonna wake
it
up
back.
and be like, we're growing hair today.
Yeah. Like, look at all this hair.
Yeah.
Just, you're going to have so much hair, you don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So when it falls out, you're like, see you later. Like, I'm just cutting the fat. Got all this hair.
Okay. That was really helpful. And also holidays, not to give away my address. Well, I won't say it. I already said it. It's close to here.
Yeah.
So I'm going there after this. And
It's close to me too. Come find us.
So aside from that, actually, that's my entire check-in is that we all got a stomach virus this weekend, and I didn't sleep I think I've slept like 4 hours in like 2 days, which is not normal, although I feel like I do it almost before every episode. I think if I say that, I don't know, can y'all write in? Because it feels like that
You've been
happens.
sick for like a year.
Well, that's not nice.
But something different. It's like,
Tell me
like
lies.
you get over something and then
Sick again? Is that what you
something
think?
else. I mean,
isn't that most...
Actually, that's not nice. That was incorrect. But that feels hard to hear, but also maybe, I guess, true.
But also
I
that's
just
like
feel bad for you.
everyone that has kids in school, I feel like their houses stay sick. I don't know anyone that doesn't have to deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Like of the healthiest families.
yeah. Sorry I said that wasn't nice. It wasn't not nice.
Okay, maybe it wasn't nice.
No.
Or I just didn't deliver it in like an
it's just
empathetic way,
truth.
which is how it was meant. But
No, it's because I'm overly sensitive. I almost cried whenever she told me the Najot person, because I was like, it was such a relief to have some sort of, and also that feels true because I feel like that feels right. Okay, moving on.
People don't,
Next, this is not about me.
People will not talk about scalp health the way that it should be talked about, which
makes
is like,
sense.
it's the same skin on your face. It just has hair growing out of it. So why are we like shampooing and stripping it and doing all these like crazy things and expecting it to keep producing hair? Like that's eventually not going to happen.
Yeah.
So scalp health.
Okay. That is it. I think that, I do have one other thing, but it's for later. It can be something else. Please, someone else talk. Please, someone else talk. Joy, how was your week? I haven't talked to you except about anything almost except work. And then I would like tell you random things about myself for like 2 weeks. I have no idea what's going on with you.
I took a pregnancy test last week because my boobs were so sore for what felt like too long.
Oh no.
Which isn't the first time that's happened. But I also, it was negative. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be telling the story. Or who knows? Maybe I would. But so I was pregnant with Penny in 2020. And during the course of that pregnancy, felt a lump in my left breast. And that's the first time you're always like, will I know? Like if there's something different? Because it's all lumpy in there anyway.
Yeah.
And so it took forever to get an appointment. Went, got a biopsy. It was fine. Or I didn't even get the biopsy until after she was born, but it went away on its own. So I noticed it again and kind of in the same spot. And so then combined with my boobs being really sore, then I really started to freak out because I was like, was it like hormonal? Like, does the lump growing back also mean that maybe I'm pregnant? And
it's being fed by hormones.
Right. I mean, I guess I can cut this, but my genuine thought was I would rather have breast cancer than be pregnant because I can't do that. I don't have the bandwidth.
No, you should leave that. Stage
1, stage 2, we could probably work with that. But like a kid is like for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I mean, look, no disrespect to breast cancer survivors, but that is a
that
feeling
felt more
that
manageable.
Most women can probably understand.
Yeah. I was just like, I And also I would have just normally waited, like it's just going to go away on its own. But I was like, I can't think about this. So Jeremy went and got a test just so I could get the confirmation that I'm not. And then of course, like 2 days later, my boobs aren't sore anymore. I'm like, God, just wait like one more day.
Well, it's like PTSD, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just going to drop tips for everyone this entire podcast.
That's the point.
I'm like, oh, you said something? I've got something for that.
That's great. Literally, that was your whole intro.
I'm like obsessed with the lymphatic system.
Yeah, same.
But
I don't know enough. Go.
Okay, cool. If I had like an extra X amount of money lying around in time, I would go get trained to do this. It's called ELT. It's electrolymphatic therapy. I go to a doctor's office called Hopewell Family Care. It's a functional medicine practice, but they have something connected called Sozo Wellness, and they have ELT practitioners. And it's basically like, this is always like a very clogged area for me. I think it is for a lot of women because we wear underwire bras and like cut our circulation off regularly. But if that happens again, you should get that done a couple times and see if it just like flushes it out.
Yeah.
Because that's also like terrifying.
Yeah. And I'm not worried about it. It feels very similar to the last one, but they can't even see me to get the appointment before I would even get sent for a mammogram until December.
What?
Yeah.
December? Oh, that's emotional suicide. I would, every day, I would like be overthinking what that is. Well, you have other options.
Sozo. ELT.
Yeah.
ELT.
Electrolymphatic.
How was your week, Brooke?
My week, I'm a free woman. My weeks just meld together. I work for myself and also like don't go out. So it's pretty boring up around my house, but it was good.
Good.
Yeah. I like this weather shift.
Me too.
I'm trying to think what else I have going on. Did you guys, well, I don't think you follow me, but did you see that foster dog I had, Raisin?
No.
I had a foster pit bull for like 2 months.
I did. I saw a picture, but honestly, it looked like
he was mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was like, you're keeping him. And I was like, I'm cold-hearted. I will definitely get rid of him.
Definitely getting rid of this.
I've gotten rid of dogs before. My mom has. My COVID decision is hers now. But I love him so much that I agreed to keep him, like when the adopted family goes out of town. So he's coming back on Thursday. I'm stoked. I get the dog for 5 days and get to give him back.
It's like a grandparent.
Yeah, totally. And he doesn't have to go to he's like a big pit bull, so he's not going to do well at like a doggy daycare place.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And I feel like instead of cold-hearted, it's just healthy boundaries. So.
Or comitophobe.
Okay.
I've gotten rid of a few dogs.
Same.
I got rid of a Shiba Inu once.
But
yeah, because I was like, we just don't get along, and like you've got to go somewhere else. But that was a long time ago. But you met Hippo when I had Hippo.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he messed me up.
Very pure. That's what I was assuming.
He died when he was 13. And he was like my life's greatest dog. So
I've never seen this is a pit bull. I've never seen a pit bull.
Oh, he was like 120 pounds.
His chest was, he was like a weightlifter on steroids.
He was. He was legitimately on steroids when we rescued him.
Oh, right.
He was like one of those dogs that this gangster guy truly, this guy was like a gangster and he was going to jail. Yeah. And so he had to break apart his breeding facility. And my boyfriend at the time and I drove down there and he was like the last dog left and he came running towards me in the backyard and I was like, I'm going to scale this house. I was like so terrified. And he was like the nicest dog. He didn't bark. He was like loved kids. So great. But like there was no chance in hell anyone was going to break into my house ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was so gnarly looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he was like the best dog.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah. I can be a little judgmental about people who like overly care about their dogs, maybe because I'm like jealous that people are able to do that or something just to like, don't come for me.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was a really pure love.
Yeah.
Love for him.
He loved me. He was
I'm going to make you cry. So
I still will cry. I've like lost human beings in my life and I've cried over this dog like so much. It's ridiculous.
Did you say that Brooke is our first? Official non-mom guest.
Yeah.
I haven't. I was going to organically get into it, but if you want to.
No, we gotta move this puppy along. Yeah.
Yeah. We
have
sit here
stuff
forever.
to talk about.
Not my dog.
Brooke has no kids.
Yeah, I have no kids. I'm free. Invite me out.
She said the thing about, it was obvious. It was just we were flowing into it. Just play it cool, Joy. It's the one time I was going to play it cool.
That's amazing.
About that thing, not anything else.
That was way better.
Brooke Baxter has no kids.
That's okay.
That's the title. Oh, did you... Well, since we're going there, I guess.
Yeah, let's go.
Did you... Well, I figured people assumed that whenever you were like, I'm just like free and easy.
I'll say I will dive in the deep end of any conversation very quickly. I'm not scared.
Is that decision made?
No.
You know?
No. I kind of reversed my life. Like, I was in a 10-year relationship starting in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. And we were like super dysfunctional, and I love him. We still are super close friends, but we kind of like partnered and like whatever codependency names you want to give it, and like grew up together and didn't have children, never really talked about it. Mm-hmm. And split. And then I have been like consciously on this healing journey for a very long time. And part of what was introduced to me during that journey was, taking care of myself. I'm just getting to the point of like inner child work and like really sealing the deal on what that means full circle. Mm-hmm. But no, my friends started having children. I was like, oh God, that seems intense. And my life felt so chaotic. And I'm exiting this 10-year relationship. At the time, he was in active addiction. My life was literally insane. And we can talk about my dad another time, maybe in this, but he also was active addiction, and I'm dealing with that. Mm-hmm. And like, and trying to like, start a career. And so I did things like backwards. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I'm pretty stoked on my journey thus far.
Yeah.
I saw a fertility specialist in Los Angeles when I was 36. Mm-hmm. And she was like, also like, don't see a fertility specialist here if you are above 35 and like want to feel good about your future of having children.
Just don't go.
Because I've had all kinds of like shame and, you're too old. At like 34, I was like, what the hell's going on?
What?
In LA, it's a different story, because this woman was referred to me and she was like, oh, you're good. Like, you've got this many eggs and your ovaries look great and you're healthy. And this is your, what do you call it? Age, the age of your whatever. She's like,
eggs or like whatever.
Yeah. She's like, we can freeze your eggs now. Yeah. So you have them, and this is the process. And I'm like very sensitive to hormones and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, I don't even want to do this for 21 days. Like, I don't like needles. I don't think this is a good idea for me. Mm-hmm. And she was like, if you keep up with taking care of yourself, like, you can have babies into your 40s. Mm-hmm. And I was always like, yeah, cool. Or maybe I'll meet someone that has children and I could be a stepmom. Like, I have never I'm curious about pregnancy because I'm a curious person. And I'm like, oh, wow, your body's going to like do this crazy shit. And like, wow, that looks insane. But like, do I really want to do it? No.
Yeah.
But do I want to be a mom, or do I have like crazy maternal instinct, and am I motherly to my friends and their kids and myself now? Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. But it was never a conscious decision. It was like something that I'm like really driven by and trust myself when I have a gut instinct about something. I sat in it. I just like let it evolve into whatever it was going to evolve into. And I also wasn't ever in a relationship again that felt like, oh, that's the guy that I want to have a baby with. Cause I also like that. This is the other part of being like, I'm 42 and I have watched all of my friends have children. I've been watching my friends have children since I was 19 years old. And I've watched them have children with partners that don't contribute, all kinds of things, like tons of nannies in the house, no nannies in the house, no help, no family support system. Like, I think I have seen every version of parenting that I could see. And I had an idea of what I wanted that to look like for me. I was raised by a single mom. My dad was a touring musician, addict, not around a lot. And like if it made sense, I was going to do it. If it didn't make sense and it didn't feel good for me, then I wasn't going to do it. But I have heartbreak about it for sure. I really do. I think it depends on like, there's certain movies that I'll watch and I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And like, I could have been a good mother, but I also have to flip it around to, I am a good mother. Like, I'm a good mother to myself. I am a good mother to my friends' kids. I'm a good mother. Me being a good friend to my friends makes them able to be a better mother. So if I put all the pieces together of what that is, I am a mom. And like, nobody talks about like moms in the sense of like, they're women. They're caretakers. They're all the things, emotional beings. So I do have that conversation in my head a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, my friends who didn't have kids when I had mine, or that still don't, played a huge role in me getting through those early years, to have somebody that can just like come over because they aren't tied to their house with their people. And it's important.
Especially that post, like right after you have a baby, when you're breastfeeding or not breastfeeding, or you are stuck to your house. And like, especially in Nashville, a lot of my friends' husbands are on the road or gone, and that's lonely. And like, I don't ever want any of my friends to feel like that. So I try and show up. I think my group of friends though, like that community is really strong. They like really step in and help each other. Yeah. That's the gist on my decisions / instinct to not have children so far. But look, I got like 3 more years before I could do this. So who knows? I could be pregnant in a year. I could be pregnant now.
It also is special to have a woman where you are in life be a friend to moms. That's a different thing. I mean, at least in my case, than it would have been like when I'm 24 or whatever, and when Joy's having her first baby. And I don't know if that's exactly
I do have
how
a good
old,
memory of you.
Really?
Though we did meet. I was in, this is how you live in my head. For some reason, I was in Eric's studio sitting on the couch. And I think it was because Rayland was back there. Someone was back there that I knew. And you came to return a knife, like a massive butcher knife. And you were very pregnant. And you just like knocked on the door and like walked through with this knife and this huge belly. And I was like, oh, she's a woman on the verge.
Yeah, she's going to kill somebody.
But it was like really funny. And I'm sure, of course, Eric had some dialogue about it that was really funny. But I just remember it being really funny. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to have that baby any minute. She should probably put that big knife down. Like, it was like the one that you get in the top of the block. It's like a foot long.
Yeah.
I can't even think of why any of that scenario would be happening.
It was Sarah's too. You were like, I'm just bringing this back. And I was like, oh my God.
I mean, I'm sure I could access it, but we don't have the time for it in my brain.
Gosh, how about when Sarah and I made baby shower invitations for my baby shower for Ava, and she had a screen printer.
Yeah, you made some business cards for
letterpress. And so I was super excited to use the letterpress, making it with a cute little porcupine. Yeah. And it just said, like a bundle of joy or something on the front. And because we said a bundle of joy, nowhere else on the card did we say who the baby shower was for.
We were like, they get it. I was like, they're going to get it. But really, it was just, I think it was maybe it might have been the first thing I ever made on my letterpress machine. Maybe the second. We did it with movable type. And I was like, I'm sure I'd woken up at 2 p.m. as one does.
Yeah, when you don't have kids.
Yeah.
Or you want to feel awful about yourself.
Yes, constantly.
That's why I had a kid in the first place. It's like, I can't keep.
You're like, I got to break this cycle. I got to get out of bed.
Yeah, I think about that actually. My psychiatrist was like, before I had a kid, I was like, well, I think whenever I have kids, I'll have to start getting up earlier. And he was like, well, you don't want a kid to have to like make you do that. And I was like, I mean, it's not like what I'm doing it for, but like, it's not what I'm doing it for. And like, now I go, listen, they go hand in hand, and that's like a beautiful way to evolve. Like, that's fine. There's nothing
That's
wrong
the
with
whole
that.
thing when people are like, well, I'm just not ready. And it's like, there's some things that you're never going to be ready for. And you just have to throw a wrench in your plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Joy. I forgot that.
But like people didn't, there were some people I was like, I wonder why so-and-so didn't show up. And they're like, oh yeah, we got the invitation. We had no idea who it was for.
I would have done better. I would have done better now.
That's amazing.
I read and I will say, just noting evolution, I read a thing that I wrote. This is going to be vague. You probably cut it, but I read a thing that I wrote in 2018 that was like explaining something that I then was explaining again in a different letter like a couple of days ago. And I was like, wow, I've come a long way.
You know what though?
Say that. It's not a lot of information, but
I will read things on your Instagram, like on stories or whatever. And I'm like, I get her.
thanks.
But I can see how some people are like, what is she talking about? And I feel the same way about myself.
You've just spoken a life into my greatest fear. And also like something that I'm proud of.
You should be.
Which is weird.
Because you weed out the ones that if
how I
they
think
don't
of it.
understand what you're saying, keep trucking. Like you don't need them. But because I think the way that you talk and write is like so relatable to me. But I have the same thing. Like I post things sometimes where I think they're so funny and like a few people will write back and they're like, oh, and I'm like, you get me.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not for the masses, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I'm down.
Who's to say?
I know.
Hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Sarah's writing a show.
Did your growing up in somewhat of a single parent home have an impact on you being like, oh, I'm going to take my time when it comes to having my own family?
Yeah, for sure. My mom she's she's highly capable, really smart. But I mean, she was in nursing school at Aquinas, like full time and working full time with 2 kids and a dad that was, my parents divorced when I was 4. Okay. So, and Raylan was 2. And she was doing all of that. Like how? Oh my God. How? So, no, I didn't want to do that for them.
Did y'all have family nearby?
No.
Wow.
We had none. My mom's parents passed when I was very young, and my dad's parents were around but lived in Florida. So we would see them like once in a while.
Who took care of y'all like while she had to work and stuff?
Neighbors, friends. It's funny. I grew up in Old Hickory Village. Mm-hmm. Thank God. And I didn't realize it at the time, but like, first of all, it was a very safe neighborhood. I walked to DuPont Elementary. All my friends went there. And I was like, I'm going to church. Like my parents weren't religious. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to need some dresses. So like she got some dresses. And every Sunday I would walk myself to the Presbyterian church, which was like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And that's where my friends were going. Mm-hmm. And I got fed there.
Yeah.
And I went to Sunday school there. Mm-hmm. And my youth pastor, his name was Tony Pritchett at the time. I was like, that's my dad. Like, I was like literally this kid that would go find, I was like, okay, this is what is lacking in my home. And I'm going to go find it from the neighborhood. I've actually never thought about this.
Yeah.
Of like how resourceful I was back then. So like, I loved my youth pastor so much that when he and his wife, Donna, who would give me body waves and perms, and like, I would always go to their house. When they moved back to Michigan or something, I took my boombox. Remember the movie Beaches, the soundtrack?
Yes.
Wind Beneath My Wings?
Wow.
I took my boombox that Raylan actually still has, by the way, and the Beaches CD, and I went to the church for his like goodbye luncheon, and I plugged my boombox in and oversang Bette Midler, Wind Beneath My Wings, not knowing that song is inappropriate to be singing to your youth pastor in church. But that's the kind of kid I was. I like brought a roll of toilet paper because I was like, I'm going to cry.
Definitely
I know
gonna
it.
cry.
And I just belted out Wind Beneath My Wings. And he was probably like, God,
No.
this is terrifying. But shout out Tony Pritchett. I just like picked up these lessons from these people because my mom was busy and she was a single mom and she didn't really have any help. And I was like, I would go to like my neighbor's last name were the Civils, and they had those Jimmy Dean sausage biscuits, and they used Aquanet hairspray, and I was like, oh yeah,
Shout out
The two things I need.
the two things I need in life that my mom won't give me. She was like, that's trash and garbage, and we don't eat that in this house. And I'm like, well, they do. And so I would go over there and like get my hair sprayed by, there was like 3 girls that lived in the house, and their mom, I think her name was Patty. She'd be like, honey, you want a sausage biscuit? And I was like, yeah, don't tell my mom. She's like, oh,
You're good.
I won't tell.
Is Mrs. Pritchett where you like got interested in aesthetics?
No. I got interested in aesthetics because of, my dad had these friends, James and Judy. I can't remember their last names, but she was like one of the original stylists in Nashville in the 80s. She did all of the like studying and bedazzling kind of stuff. And they would have these ragers. They lived on Love Circle, absolute inappropriate parties that kids should not go to. But in the 80s in country music in Nashville, you went to the bars and the parties and all the places. And I would sit at her vanity and I would put makeup all over my face. And she had bedazzled my like Oshkosh Begosh overalls. So I have pictures of this. It's really cool. And she still to this day has pink hair. My mom like had lunch with her a couple weeks ago. But that is where I was like, makeup is cool.
Makeup is life.
Yeah. And I was like, this is amazing.
It was Jimmy Dean sausages. Upgrade.
Now it's makeup and studs. And I was like in love with Dwight Yoakam when I was a kid. So I was like, oh, definitely like, this is how I'm going to get his attention. As a 6-year-old, this is how I'm going to get Dwight Yoakam. And I thought he didn't have any eyes because you know how low he wore his cowboy hat. And I was like, he's going to see me. Yeah. I don't know. This is also part of my inner child work is like knowing who this kid is and how cool she was and being like, okay, you were like a little freak. And yeah, that's how I got into aesthetics for real. After that, I was like, oh, I love like anyone that had makeup in their house, I would like find it. I used to Crayola crown on my eyelids. And I will never forget my kindergarten teacher, Miss Hoppies, being like, did you draw on your face? And I mean, I literally looked up at her eye contact and was like, mm-mm. She was probably like, sociopath in the making. Like, this little liar.
No, this is makeup.
No.
I was like, no. I was born this way. It's not Maybelline. Yeah, insane person.
I had something, but I lost it again. It was something about inner child stuff.
Inner child work.
What do you do? We've talked about that quite a bit before. I do a lot of that. A lot of my young selves need a lot of attention. That's not right to say about you guys. Hey.
Yeah.
Literally.
No, I know. Me too. I've been resisting this work though for really years. I've been resisting this. And my like life coach the other day was like, until you get this, like this is your most important piece. And I was like, oh God. So I have to like, she's like the cover of my phone and I have to like keep reminding myself every day. And like when I get freaked or like spooked, I'm like, you're okay, little Brooke. And I'm like, this is psychotic. But also I live alone, so nobody knows what I'm doing.
Yeah. And like,
they don't know that I'm talking to an invisible child.
I mean,
she's not invisible. She lives in my heart.
I'd love to make jokes about,
Clearly.
I want to make, yes, she lives in your heart. Yeah. I want to make jokes about like those things and not be earnest, but it is the truth.
Me too.
It's like the thing. It's like
me too, especially in romantic relationships. You want to turn this podcast into stories of being single in Nashville? I've got contributions. It's dark.
Oh my God, I'm having too many thoughts. Can you take it away, Joy?
I was just thinking about inner child stuff, and I feel like that's what I've been doing, especially, like it wasn't until after having a kid that I was like, but my kid hasn't gotten to do the things it wanted to do, and now I have to not pursue those things because I have to raise this kid, and trying to find space for both, and feeling selfish if I'm putting my inner child before my actual children.
It's the oxygen mask on first.
Yeah. So it's like, I know second kids was easier because I already knew that going in. Like, okay, this is going to be hard. I'm going to feel X, Y, and Z. And just to keep trying to quiet those voices, it can all work together. It's just every day looks a little bit different on like what's gonna be the priority today, or like just knowing like, hey, you can keep forging this path, but it's gonna keep getting interrupted by other people's needs, which is okay. Just it's gonna be a long road. And like you were saying, it's so self-involved. And when you feel like you have to try to do that publicly, it's like, oh God,
I know.
But
I know.
I am really doing this for like real reasons. It just feels like part of it is involving other people and letting people know what you're doing, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I'm constantly craving or looking for somebody who their message is palatable to me. And I would like to be that person because there's an over-therapized like language that exists, and Instagram has fucked it up.
Totally.
That everyone's a narcissist, everyone is this, like gaslight this, and like the terms are triggering, to use another term. It's like, can we just stop?
Especially
can we
with,
just
with
all be
parenting stuff too.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I don't want to be. I try really hard to keep the podcasts. Like I don't post too many quotes. I don't post, but like the posts that are supposed to be helpful parenting posts, but the title is "Don't do this with your kid," or like this could mess your kids up, or just like whatever the thing is to get the parent in is using
the clickbait,
that fear, that like just like, oh wait, is there something better I could be doing? Oh wait, am I?
I see it.
So
I mean,
exhausting.
I see it all the time for moms, and I'm like, that is such shit. Like your type of marketing is guilt and shame. Go to hell. I mean, it's like, it's so bad. But I will say, like, on a global, I was thinking about this the other day. So like everybody has a background, everyone has a story, whether you survived trauma or dysfunction or whatever, like the list of things, the Dead Sea Scroll of things that we all survive by the time we get to our 30s, 40s, 50s. The world is like very much suffering right now. And if we all are doing this work individually, it keeps our cup of shit from like spilling over onto other people's. And like I've had experiences this year where my life has been like very much affected by somebody else's inability or lack of accountability in their own healing. Like, and blaming it on other people and creating situations that were somewhat life-ruining for other people, instead of just taking the mirror. Like, we've all been in bad relationships. We've all been mistreated. And there were times in my 20s and 30s where I was like victimizing myself and blaming everyone else. And I will say that the time that and not to sit on a high horse at all, I still have these days where I'm like, this is unfair.
Sure.
But I think that the key of holding yourself accountable and knowing that in healing, you are helping everyone else in your life, it does a lot of good for the world, you know? So I do think that, yes, it is like self-serving. Like a lot of this work is like so me-centric, but it also is for the greater good. Now, I'm not going to save the world, but I am going to save myself. And I am going to put the oxygen mask on myself first. And in turn helps everyone else. If I'm a good person and I'm not blaming or chaos creating and making everyone else's life a living hell, which is what I did for a really long time, especially my 20s. It was like a lot of deflection and a lot of like chaos, awful behavior. So
is there anything that older you or someone else could have said to you at that age that would have like
so many
gotten
things
through?
So many things. Yeah. I mean, I was living in like a fight or flight state of like panic. I'm not safe. Everyone's out to get me. I'm angry because I hadn't even really realized the abuse and whatever. I'm not even going to get into the details, but like the things that I had gone through and was going through in a chaotic relationship in my entire, like most of my 20s. I hadn't even realized that was a problem. I was like, this is normal, right? Because I didn't have that model growing up. My dad was in a lot of relationships, but my mom was not. She was busy. So I didn't know what any of that was until it didn't really hit me until I was like probably 36, 37. And I was like, oh, and then I got into trauma therapy and started peeling back those layers and was like, and mad, still pissed. So I think that it wasn't until I really was like, you are the only one that's going to make your life better. It's not forgiveness. I mean, it is forgiveness. It's not getting apologies from other people. It's not blaming my mom. It's not blaming my dad.
It's not waiting around for other people to mend these like bridges that you're
100%.
Yeah.
And that concept alone took like a year for me to understand. But I will say that I did quickly look at the chaos that I was creating in other people's lives because I wasn't willing to let myself have the power to make my situation better. So I see that now in a different way, like in other people. And like, I'm pretty careful about who I let into my life right now because I feel really guarded and protecting of my peace. But, losing a parent. I mean, my dad died in 2020. So that was like a really interesting process because we hadn't spoken for 5 years before he died. And I had to live with that. And you have to live up until that parent that you don't speak to dies with everyone saying like, well, one day he's going to pass away. And like, are you sure that you want to be doing this? And yeah, I have no regrets. I miss him deeply. But like when I cut him out of my life is when my healing journey like really started. So I think that's also a valuable thing for people that like have addict parents, dysfunctional parents, like whatever. Not that you should go around snipping people out of your lives, but like that made a lot of room for me to grow and to like forgive him because I knew how he was going to leave this earth. And I did from a very young age. But
recognizing that as an option is not an easy thing to do. Like I didn't even ever consider that, but just hearing that from you, and I've heard people say that recently. I think it's hard, but beautiful thing to recognize that you have that option. We
and
just didn't know.
I knew him so well that I knew that he knew what I was doing. Like I knew that he got it. And I knew that he loved me. I don't know how we even got onto this.
Oh, dads.
Your dad was Bucky Baxter, pedal steel player, but just a generally incredibly talented musician.
Yeah.
And the way that you shared about your grief since then. I lost my brother, 2000. I always forget. I think I beat myself up about the way that I've grieved. And it is a weird process. Everybody's is different.
It's so crazy.
Speaking of doing things backwards, mine does feel backwards because it like happens now more than it ever did. Like I just wasn't ready.
Yeah. It's really normal though. It's like delayed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But my point is I didn't talk a lot about it, like decidedly. And I think that sort of blocked up a channel. I'm just deciding this right here, I guess, but I blocked up some channel of being able to talk about anything almost.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I said it earlier, like I just froze on social media and I didn't say, you guys both seem great at it, but I used to be. Not that I want to be. That's not literally the point of grief. I'm just saying that is how I
It's everywhere
stuff,
though.
And people talk about that, but you do that in a way that seems very sincere.
Yeah, thanks.
And helpful for somebody who's lost someone close to them.
I think it's important. I think it's important for when you have a strained relationship with your parent and they pass away.
To do that?
Yeah. I think to let people know, to post every day about it. I think to let people know that it's like, that it's okay. And I mean, it's so sad, but I have the best relationship with him now that I've ever had because he's like right here. At all times. And I feel the love for him and he doesn't have the torture that he had to like deal with. Not that was all him. Like, I mean, he's an amazing dad because I learned a lot of lessons from him and he was cool as hell. I mean, he's the coolest guy I've ever met. But I have Rayland. Like Rayland I would be so interested to put up their DNA like together because I'm like, well, what happened here? Like, did my dad just clone himself? I mean, it's crazy.
He wasn't really ready to fully go.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's weird. Like their hands are the same, their mannerisms, their walk, their cadence, like the things that they do.
Did you always notice that, or did you notice that more after he passed away, and did it get like amped up after him being so much more like Raylan being just like him?
Yeah, for sure. They always had an amazing and really close relationship, but yeah, it did. I started noticing things afterwards that I was like, this is weird. And sometimes even when I hear him sing, I'm like, oh my God, that is Bucky's like there.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I don't feel like he's completely gone. Never felt that since the day that he died.
Yeah, I don't feel that either.
He shows up a lot.
But,
yeah,
my own life. We've talked about that a little on.
Yeah, it's
birds
pretty cool.
And things, noticing.
Yeah.
Parker just got into bird watching. He brought a book about bird watching to school. His grandma gave him like 2 years ago, and now he's just getting into it. And he was like,
it's so cool.
Bird
watchers are cool.
Yeah, I've never I like birds, but I've always been like chickens I didn't love. I was kind of like always decidedly like, I don't know about birds in
Chickens
general.
seem aggressive. Yeah, chickens and roosters, I'm good on.
But I'm not going to like start having birds, but I think I like birds.
Yeah. They're cool.
Anyway, people say that their loved ones show up in birds. A psychic, a medium told me that Gene, my brother who passed away, would show up in birds of prey. And
so my dad is too.
Yeah.
I just moved east side like last July, and that snowstorm that we had this December, this hawk came around my yard, and I was having remember we were like stuck in the house for 5 days.
It's crazy.
And I walked out. I have this big screened in porch, and I walked outside, and this hawk had jumped off the fence and landed in the center of the yard and did this weird spread of his wings. And I was like, Dad. And I sat down and talked to this bird, and I was like, Dad, if it's you, give me a sign. And I'm like, but I'm trying to be quiet enough so my neighbors don't come out, and they're like, oh my God, call the authorities. And we talked, and I swear to God, that hawk listened and then flew off. And I was like, no one's going to believe this. So I had to call my brother, and of course he believed it. He was like, hell yeah.
A lot of people will, and I do. And it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's like talking about inner child shit and all this stuff. I've just to the point where things that have been helpful for me have been helpful for me. And and it's a lot of it's a cliche, and I'm a broken record about therapy, and I drive people crazy, I'm sure, talking about shit like that. But it's been life-saving to me.
Same. But we should also talk about really not therapy sometimes, giving yourself a break, like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Because that's also okay. I let myself play in between therapy stuff when I'm dealing with something, and taking a break and letting myself take a painting class, or which I have not done, but on the goal sheet to do stuff, or switch out of it, because I can find myself in it too, full on, and then I'm trying to tell everyone that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's probably something I actually. Thanks a lot.
I'm saying that for the collective good of
no, it's
if
true.
you want to take a break, or you feel like it's too much sometimes, let yourself take a break.
Well, the only person really, because nobody really checks me on that, I guess, much. Definitely my therapist don't. But Eric occasionally would be like, that's not the only thing though. But because it's him and he's my partner, and I'm like, well, do therapy longer and then talk to me.
Yeah. I had a therapist once be like, I think with this 6 years of talk therapy, I think maybe you can graduate to something else. And I was like, are you firing me? Am I just really that crazy?
You're tired of hearing me talk. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Actually, I have had wow. I just breezed right past it when they said it, but two therapists recently go, well, basically giving me an out to you want to take a longer break between sessions? You want to schedule out a couple of months?
You want to be back next week, or
are you? I feel like
what's your 2025?
And I'm like, nope, I'm good. See you in 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's something for me to look into, I guess.
Beauty tricks and therapy tips.
That's it. That's the title.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Joy.
Do you have trouble meal planning? Is that a struggle for you?
What?
What's that?
Huh? I do have this. Yeah, no. Yes, I do have that. I have that issue.
Me too. Especially there's like always a one night where we do Blue Apron, but there's always a couple nights a week where we don't have a meal planned. And it's usually a night where we're all trying to eat something together that is affordable and good quality food. And what's a really great solution for that we have for all of you listeners out there?
What?
Is Mr. Aaron's Goods.
Oh, yeah.
And we have an update about Mr. Aaron's, which is that instead of just walking in and picking up your food or getting it delivered, you can actually go in and dine there now. They have new hours. They're open Tuesday through Sunday. You can have fresh pasta, sauces, bagels, schmears, all the specialty goods. They're located at TKO in East Nashville. And they're open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
weekdays, and then on the weekends, 9 a.m. to noon, or until they sell out. You can also still order online, and if you do that, you can use code MOMCULT for 20% off your entire order. Yeah. They're the best people.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Whenever you're talking to like the fertility specialist about not being a mom and feeling judgment, and like generally speaking, do you have any specific grievances to air about?
No, it was more like ageism of like your
geriatric.
The geriatric pregnancy term needs to be dropped quickly.
Yeah, it's come up several times on this podcast.
Why is that? It's not dumb. Okay.
No, it's not acceptable. Yeah, it was. You know what it was? It was more like, are you in a relationship? Are you single? And I'm like, I'm single. And they're like, oh. I'm like, lady, you don't want the side of me that wants to come out right now in your office. Like, no, thank you.
But
that's
like,
unacceptable.
Outside of that scenario, are there things specifically that like you feel maybe from moms, like things that you would like not to feel that people could hear and be like, oh shit, I'm doing that. Anything like that?
Not a ton. I think when someone looks at me and they're like, well, you're not a mom, or well, I'm a mom, so I feel this way. And it's like, that's sensitive. That can be kind of like, the other part is sometimes you just want to have fun at dinner and talk about not kids and talk about sex. And I've got stories for days. Like, you just want to have fun and not talk about kids' school and all that stuff. But that's a read the room thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. We touched on that a little bit before we were recording, and I said, I feel myself doing that if somebody in the room doesn't have kids. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll re-steer the conversation, but sometimes I'll just keep going and go, I don't know what to do. I need to talk about this. But that's not also like loving.
And not to say I don't have space for all of that. I really do. But it's funny. I was telling her earlier, like say there's like 4 people at dinner and they're like, oh, my daughter this or my son this. And I'm like, well, when I was 4 in 1986. That's about it. Like, it's hard. I think it's hard to go to like the birthday parties and see the kid. You get like those big picture moments where you're like, what would it look like if I had a child running around, or like I made different decisions in my relationships and actually let love in from somebody who was capable of being that kind of partner instead of unavailable, emotionally 12-year-old men. That would look different for me. That trajectory would have looked different, but it isn't. And that's what it is. And I love watching my friends mother their kids. I think it's so beautiful. But yeah, it's hard for sure, but it's also beautiful, and that's just life.
I so rarely am on top. I know that I feel like I've not stopped talking, but I want to say one more thing and then I'm going to stop for a minute. I went to see this. Oh, I know. We really should get paid by Frank. Frank, the psychic, has got to at least give me a free session, because I swear to God, we talk to him. Yeah. We talk about him every episode.
Yeah, but he's like a year to get into, right?
Yeah, I just booked mine 2 years out now.
2 years?
2 years. A year and a half for an energy session. And also anyway, but he's great. I mean, I think I got a lot out of it.
How many do you think he does a day? What's his schedule look like?
It's not, or I don't know, actually. I don't think that many. I mean, I want to say it's 7 days a week. He does something. There may be an off day, and the hours are relatively limited, but not really. I mean, they're like, maybe it's like 11 to 6 or something on some days. It's very specific.
Mm-hmm. How long is yours when you book it?
It's either an hour, or maybe you can do 2 hours, and then like energy healing is longer. So like, I think that's like 2 hours. And
I've always wanted to see him.
You haven't seen him? Mm-mm. He said to me, I don't even know if I asked. He just said, you can have another kid if you want to, there's a little girl. She's like Punky Brewster, just like waiting. And if you want her, then she's there. And if you don't, then she is completely fine. She's just chilling. She's like happy. And I like, that was impactful because I like was Punky Brewster as a kid. And that's like, speaking of inner child, like that's so exactly resonant to me visually. I'm like, whoa, that's like me. Right. And I told my therapist that, and she was like, maybe that's not a child. Maybe that's just your inner child.
Your inner child.
And so,
ooh, cool.
I don't have like a perfect loop around, but just to say the context of inner child work. And
I mean, I believe in all of that.
Yeah.
There can be dualities to all of these things.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
But I mean, maybe, not maybe, you've already said it. You're parenting your inner children. I think you're a great mom to your inner children. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm trying to be every day.
Yeah.
Hey, but not they need them.
Yeah.
I know. It's
they
so
need
true.
them real bad.
It's so true. I will literally lay down on the railroad tracks and see myself doing it sometimes. And I'm like, you're not taking care of yourself. You're just taking care of everyone else and like making time for anything but you. And I just am not, I can't afford to do that anymore. I think we all got faced with a lot of that in 2020. We just got slammed with having to be by ourselves in a way that we haven't had to be. And I've watched a lot. I think I've watched a lot of good and damaging things come from that time.
Yeah. I try not to think about it. Although it came up yesterday, I saw something and I was like, oh yeah, that did mess me up. That's a whole other level.
I mean, I just can't believe it's 2024. Like I say, when I think of 2020, I think of it as like last year.
I do too.
Still.
I do too. I'm still trying to like get my head. I also had like a kind of a mentee bee at the end of 2019. So by the time March 13th rolled around 2020, I was like, hallelujah.
Oh yeah.
Put my feet up and hunkered down literally. It was great.
Yeah. I don't think you were alone in that. So anyway, I heard that you went on a guided mushroom journey recently. What was that like?
Yeah, I think I can get into the whole thing. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh.
So I actually mistyped. I mistyped it. It was a guided journey, and it was really interesting. It was also really scary. Parts of it were really scary. I don't think I was dosed correctly. I went with an unnamed trusted person that a few people in town have used, and I wouldn't do it again. The vision, though, that I had a few visions. My dad showed up a lot. My ex, who I was with for 10 years, who I'm still close with, and my brother were side stage a lot of it, which was really interesting. And then there was a really beautiful moment where showed up in a circle with my friends' moms, and without naming them, all of these moms were either moms that had passed away or moms that my friends have troubled relationships with. And we were all in a circle and they were like thanking me. And it was like them, my friends, and their daughters. And it was like this full circle thing and they were very thankful, had showed up for their daughters and their kids, and thank you for helping them be moms and mothering them. And I was like, okay, this is why I'm here. It was cool. But yeah, there were parts of it that were scary. I think that people should be very careful before they do stuff like that, for real.
I did this healing touch workshop. Do you know what that is? It's like energy healing, but it's medically backed, blah, blah, blah. I'll send you some links. Healingbeyondborders.com
is it like
is the website.
Muscle testing?
No, it's like magic, but it's like not witchcraft. It's energy healing, but there's like Reiki stuff in it. And like, I haven't even taken the time, I don't think, to read all of the background on it, but there's a woman here who's one of the longest standing practitioners of it. And she teaches coursework here. And I've been getting that therapy, and I've never shut up about it because it's so weird. It's just like transcendental and strange. And I've not experienced anything else like it. And I know there's other stuff that is, but I've never experienced it. Anyway, I have a point. What is it? Took the course. Interesting. I won't bore you people listening about that anymore. We can talk about it after if you're interested. But I recognized a part of myself that, I don't know, hadn't, or it put me in touch with. Actually, I have a paragraph, and I brought and I was like, am I going to want to read that today? And I'm going to. Okay, this is what I felt after the Healing Touch workshop. Okay, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. By Lao Tzu. That's a guy who must have been doing good stuff. Healing may take several forms and maybe experiences increasing empathy, feeling of transcendence. Healing practitioners often report feeling a sense of self-transcendence and transformation that increases levels of empathy. This occurs most readily through the enhancement of self-compassion for the practitioner. Self-compassion is defined as having a sense of mindfulness and awareness, a kindness towards oneself, recognition of the common humanity one shares with others. Self-compassion is essential for effectiveness in providing blah, blah, blah. And that's, I mean, it sounds like Buddhism or what I assume Buddhism is like, and not like I just became a Buddhist over a weekend. And I don't, but that, I mean, it was that impactful. And I just say that to say like,
that's so cool.
I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like 4 people listen to this podcast, I feel like, but if they are interested, it was a neat thing for.
I think people are in a space of being curious about, I think everyone is feeling pretty weird these days. So I think if there's anything that is going to provide relief, I find that people are more willing to do that stuff than ever. Mm-hmm. At least
I would imagine that kind of comes along with the like, nothing surprises me anymore. Like if you're in a headspace where the bad news stops surprising you, then I feel like you're gonna be more open to find some peace
and joy. I mean, there's a lot of bad shit. So like, the spark joy thing is like, it's important.
Yeah, that's trending right now. Well, it's like a marketing thing.
It is.
I've noticed it on several commercials for big things. Their tagline will have the word joy in it.
Yeah. Oh. Which is great because we need it. But like, I do think that I got to a point recently where I was like, oh, absolutely nothing that I'm doing besides drinking coffee in the morning is sparking
me feel
joy.
Excited.
Yeah. And like, that is a problem. When you recognize that in your life, it's time to go back to the basics or like start looking at the little things so you don't get depressed.
I also will say, circling back to inner child stuff, that I don't know how much I was consciously doing it, but with Ava, like talking about, I have to foster this kid's creativity and whatever they get to experience is like somewhat my responsibility to open those doors and give them those opportunities. But also I want my own opportunities. I want to do all the things that I want to do with my life as if I were still a kid. And like whatever. I just ended up using Ava a lot. Like I just tried to lump it all into the same thing. So like I would find something creative that did spark something in me that I wanted to do and just be like, we'll just do it together. Or I would use her in ways to get what I need to. I mean, you can't do that all the time, but I felt like I just tried to merge her and my inner child.
Yeah.
Like, let's do an activity that
they should be
satisfies,
friends. They should know each other.
Both of you.
Yeah. I was, I forget where I was recently, and I saw like, maybe it was on TV, and I saw a group of kids dancing. This is so embarrassing. Don't cut this. And I saw them dancing. And later on that day, I was like, I want to dance. Like, I want to dance like no one's watching. But I, of course, have to watch myself because I'm like, what is this going to look like? And I almost couldn't do it.
Yeah.
In the privacy of my own home. I almost couldn't do it. And I was like, when did I lose the ability to like let go and like flail around and move my body and be silly? Like, why do I take myself so seriously that I can't even make myself look like a fool and no one's watching? And I thought that was so interesting because I was like, we get so locked up and our egos start growing and like our awareness of what other people think of us that like I couldn't even let my own self-critic take a break. Yep. And I think that's important too. Like there's a reason that kids don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
I love
like, bop around with their friends. They don't care.
Anytime I'm out with Penny, I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk to like 40 strangers today. And like, great.
Yeah.
Like we need kids. They bridge the gap between people so effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like, everyone immediately like shifts their, I don't know. It just takes away that.
They're so important. And that innocence is so important.
I want to bring attention to the fact that you, like the thing that you were just saying about making your inner child and her friend, and you said something else earlier. I've said this before, but it's like you do your own therapy in your head, and maybe that's being normal or balanced or whatever, but you do that over and over, like on like your relationship in your life. Like you'll just like come to that. I'm like, It's literally what a therapist would have told you after like a year. It's amazing.
I just don't like, I can't live unsettled in my own body for very long. And so I feel like I pretty quickly have to be like, okay, what is going on? What is that? And let's figure out how to find a way to like flow that somewhere else or resolve it but I feel like that just stems from like my aversion to conflict of any kind.
Well, I think that's a special gift that you have.
Yeah.
To like, it's oversimplifying it, but like to figure things out on your own in a healthy,
Yeah, it doesn't sound
way.
like you're running from them or avoiding them. You just, to not like conflict is healthy. Like it sucks.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
What you were saying about dancing, I remember when Ava was a baby and when I would be rocking her, I would want to sing to her and it would just get stuck like right here. I'm like, I don't even like, I'm embarrassed. I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but I like couldn't sing.
It made you
Just
uncomfortable.
like, this is so messed up.
Yeah, I think it's really funny. It's the same trick of like someone told me to look in the mirror one time and say I love you, like look myself in the eyes and say I love you, and I was like
Yeah, I've had that experience.
and I was like, wait, what? Like when did this happen?
Yeah, it takes some practice
And
to start
so,
doing that. It's
yeah,
weird.
it's funny. I was like having a conversation with Raylan the other day and asking him for advice. Like he seems to have a very good daily practice right now. And I don't know if part of that is like his recovery or just he's that person. Like he's always been a very like let it go guy. And he was like, look in the mirror and like tell yourself, I love you, you got this, like you're gonna kill this day, like you've got it all. And I was like, wow, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And so I've been like trying to do that every morning and like pretty much laughing at myself, and it's been great.
Yeah, it's helpful.
By the time I get downstairs and start
easier.
coffee, I'm like, oh, I actually feel better in the 10 seconds that it just took me to do that and get downstairs instead of like the dread that walks to the coffee machine every morning.
I'm like on the cusp of Ava. My oldest is 12 and she's still very much has a positive self-image and is still silly and is still, I don't know, all the things that I'm like,
All the things that
am
you
I
are.
about to watch this? Like I'm anxious about
Yeah.
about the battleground of like trying to keep that the more life she experiences.
Maybe she just goes straight through and
Maybe.
doesn't have any splinters of her.
would be
Yeah.
full
I mean,
self.
I am fascinated by that. So that age range and after, like, I am fascinated because that seems like the real difficult parenting when you notice that your kid has like an anxiety disorder and so do you, or like, and how to not give yourself guilt. And like, maybe the both of you can, I don't know. It's so difficult to me to hear those stories of like a teen having issues and the mom just being heartbroken. Cause I'm like, how many times was my mom heartbroken by like the things that she saw in me that were her? And that's tough. That's really tough. And I don't wish that on anyone.
Yeah,
But
that's parenting.
yeah. And so there's a part of me that like, sometimes I hear someone was like picking on my friend's kid the other day. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I would roll up to that parent's house.
I have a
It
hard
would
time
be
with that.
so bad because of how protective I am of myself and inner child. Like there's a little bit of a temper problem that lives, and I would have a hard time. The cops would for sure be called if I found out that someone was bullying my kid
Yeah.
and the parents were dicks about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like we're being gluttonous with your time, but I was going to say something about dancing. No, we'll just keep it going. We're being gluttonous. We're going to keep going. Yeah. No, we'll stop. We'll stop, I swear.
Am I a good dancer? No, I'm not.
I don't know. I think you would.
These hips,
I think you would be.
These hips don't lie.
Around Parker, I can be, I have no inhibitions. I'm completely free. I can be the funniest version of
cool.
myself most of the time. If there's something that I'm feeling like guilty about, that holds me back. But like dancing especially, or like whatever it is, I have no, now if Eric walks in the room, it's like another person.
wow.
And it's not, I mean, sometimes actually we've had moments where I'm like completely free still. So I don't know, that did
That's so
unlock
funny.
some part of myself that I think I can sometimes, but I just wouldn't by myself probably. Joy.
Sarah.
Parker started using a booster seat
Big moves.
Yeah. And his legs sit slanted down. So I put this breakfast box with his eggs and like Cheerios and stuff in it in his lap on the way to school, which is teaching him terrible habits. But I digress. It spilled on the floor. And I tried to clean it up with my at-home like handheld vacuum. And I was just like, I was never a person before we both worked at Camel Express in marketing department. I was never a person who washed my car, and I didn't understand really the value of it. But the vacuums at Camel Express are bananas.
I mean,
and really
for car seat grossness.
Yeah. In 2.5 minutes you can go through the whole wash. And then in 5 minutes, because of the power of the vacuums at any of the 5 locations in and around Nashville, you can really like clean your whole car. So if you, Momcult listener, would like to get your first wash at Camel Express for free, just text code MOMCULT to 22322 and we'll send you a free wash on us.
And we have a deal going that you can get any unlimited plan for $9.99 for the first month.
For sure, take advantage of that $9.99 deal. If you're not already a member, then do that because it's literally...
you could get like the best wash that they offer for a whole month and then just cancel if you want for $10.
I'm not supposed to say that, but yeah, you can. Insider trading, don't... Yeah, you can
just
do that.
For the moms.
Don't tell anybody we said that.
They need a break. They need a break where they can find it.
Yeah. But also, you're going to forget, and then you're just going to give us your money next month.
None of us are actually going to...
None
of them are actually going to do it. They've already stopped listening. They've fast forwarded through this whole ad.
Oh, God.
Do you consider yourself a mom that plays? Like, will you get on the floor and like play games with him and stuff?
I am an aunt that plays. I really struggle with that as a mom. And I guess there's a lot of reasons, and that's something I think about constantly, pretty much. And lately I'm trying to really work on it. But like trying to work on playing is like counterintuitive.
I feel like, is that a mom thing, or like, is there a conversation around that? Because I noticed some of my friends don't necessarily get on the ground and play, and then some of them do. And I mean, I have had my friends' kids like like I can see them slow-mo walking towards me with like a basket of toys, and I'm like, skirt, like.
You are not.
And they're like, BB or Brookie, will you play with me? And I'm like, shh, don't tell your mom, get out of here.
There's something about the floor. I just don't want to sit. I don't want to be on the floor. I'm so resistant
to floor
settling
situation?
in on the floor.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's fair.
I think part of it is just discomfort. And maybe that's just because I'm older, even though like it's not like that huge of a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think part of it too is just like physically settling in that space in my body. Like I want to stay in a state of like being able to get up and go and then do this and like do this for a second, and then I'm gonna go do this. And so like I'm aware of like, hey, something's that you should just be able to like sit and like invest in what your kid is doing for a second.
Yeah. It's hard. I'm always distracted, and I feel like I need to be doing something else, but I know that this is the most important thing, is like him feeling. So I just consistently try to pull myself back to it, but I am terrible at it. It is something that I struggle with every single day.
Yeah, I'm always curious. Raylan and I are 20 months apart, so I think we played together a lot.
Yeah, that's so helpful, it seems like.
Yeah.
I just got to get out of the house. I can't. I'm just a shittier mom at home. But if I'm out, then I'm like, this is my focus, is we're doing this thing together.
Yeah.
And it seems like it appears that you create things like for y'all to do together and like.
I'm trying. I mean, now that she's going to, like, knowing that she's not in preschool this year, like, okay, I have another year. I would like to be more careful with how I spend that time with her, especially being my last. I'm just like so aware of like, how her body feels in my arms, what her skin feels like all these little things that I'm like, you will not experience this again in this capacity until these girls have their own children.
Yeah.
Like, just time, the concept of time, just never, I feel like, and just, it's just always there.
Yeah.
Almost like when you're trying, like when people pass away and you just feel like they're just there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like kids, time is just there all the time.
Yeah, people don't talk about the grief in that enough. Like we are, as humanity, like dealing with grief every day in different form, whether it's grief of an idea of who we were supposed to be or all of that stuff, grief of like your kids growing up and you won't have that experience of them outside of the memory anymore. Like that is so real and so painful. And sometimes it's met with, well, you should be so grateful. And it's like, I'm grateful, but I'm also really sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I see that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Corner?
Pop Culture Corner.
But boys play different. I didn't know how different boys are. And so I try to do killing stuff, but I don't want to kill everything. And I don't want him to feel judged. So that's also a struggle to be like,
oh my God.
I'd like them to be friends. And I'm like, I know his face is like a monster, but maybe he wants to be friends with that dinosaur and they don't
not
need
judge
to kill
him
each
by
other.
his monster face.
Yeah.
He's got a good heart probably.
But he's also a sweet boy. Okay, anyway.
That's
I
amazing.
could just do this all day, I guess. Okay.
Pop Culture Corner.
Mm-hmm. I just started.
Is that is that what you guys do? Is that why you asked me about pop culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some episodes we don't get to it, but we try.
It started about like mostly me wanting to talk about Bravo shows.
I didn't
Like
let
Real
myself
Housewives.
list them, by the way, the reality shows that I'm trying to not watch, but let's make a PSA. I watched the absolute worst reality television shows that you could think of. Like even some like sideline ones like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll watch anything.
It's a social study to me. I love
only smart
watching how
watch
people
reality TV.
interact and like, but it's funny. I go through phases where I actually can't watch Real Housewives because I'm like,
Me too.
You guys are so toxic. This is so
100%. I go in and out of it.
Love is Blind was a really good one.
I like
watched
the
a
first
season of that.
Those
Me
people
too.
falling in
The
love
first
without
one.
seeing each other.
Some of them were so funny. The first season. I don't remember everybody's name and it'll just be annoying to listen to me talk about it. But like so many things are, but I just keep going.
I just started Nobody Wants This.
Oh, I watched it and I haven't.
Which I texted you
Yeah, I'm
about
going
because
to.
it's two sisters and they have a podcast.
I watched it.
Exciting.
I just finished it last night.
I think I'm like maybe 1 or 2 episodes.
What was so important about that too is that it highlights a lot about what I'm into attachment styles right now.
I mean, same.
I was just
Who isn't?
Yeah, no, I was just dating a guy that was very dismissive, avoidant, and I was like, okay, how do I like talk to this guy? He's a wonderful human, but like really ill in communication and but also like has a brilliant mind, so I wanted
Fix
more.
him?
Yeah, of course. Duh. But there was a part of that show that talks a lot of like her dismissive avoidant stuff and his secure attachment and like what that actually looks like, which you see more in DAs being males than female. But like it's a fascinating, he just wasn't having it. He like really broke down the walls with her and I thought it was so beautiful and important.
Do you have
way that they tell with each
an
other.
attachment styles like resource? Because I always am like looking at stuff, but I never have found something that's like, this is the home of this thing that I'm interested in, really.
There's the test that you can take, which is much like the Enneagram Institute. I think it's like the School of Attachment Styles or whatever, human science. Honestly, TikTok is great for that stuff.
I can't go there.
You can't?
I'm also not allowed.
Just to be on TikTok in general.
Yeah.
I
My therapist
love it.
lives here. She just takes my phone away. Just kidding. I wish.
I love TikTok for that kind of stuff because their algorithm's great and it starts feeding you like-minded stuff. But yeah, I can send you some vids.
Cool.
I've become very well versed in this and I think it's important because it also gives a lot of compassion and empathy to somebody who is a DA and like not to shame them or criticize them, which is my nature. And it's good.
That's good and insightful of you to notice.
Yeah.
I'm very critical, but I have a hard time.
Well,
admitting
you
that.
also like have been in a relationship for so long. So it's like when you're in a relationship that's like a decade plus, what even is your attachment style anymore? It's not tested. I mean, I guess it is tested in the relationship, but like if the relationship is secure, how do you go from there?
Oh, yeah. We can figure it out.
I bet.
Oh, we'll find things.
Yeah.
The kids are the test.
That's not true. I actually shouldn't say that you don't have to deal with that. You do have to deal with that every day.
Yeah. Yeah. What was Pop Culture Corner.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I texted you because I think you would like
I'm going to watch it. I just haven't had the
My friend was the music
Susan.
director.
Oh, fun.
So if you like the music,
name.
His name's Zach Dawes. So he's a friend of a friend. He's a friend of a lot of friends. And
Is he Dawes like from Dawes?
No, Daws. It's my friend Mikey. It's one of his childhood best friends.
Oh, neat.
And he does a lot. He's actually I think he works with T-Bone a lot in Nashville.
Cool.
But he did the music direction with one of the girls from, what's that sister band? The three of them. They're from LA.
Haim,
yeah. Haim. But the music's great.
Cool.
I thought it was really good.
Well, I haven't seen it.
it could be your replacement for the Menendez
Yeah,
brothers
report back.
documentary.
It's very light and funny.
Yeah.
And it's the chick
Yeah.
from Succession.
Made me laugh.
Did you watch Succession?
Yeah.
It's Connor's, the sex worker, or she was a call girl or something like
Yes.
that. It's her. She's one of the sisters.
Her and
She's
Kristen
funny.
Bell.
Yeah, she's funny.
What's her name in that? Willow?
Willa.
I love that her name's
I think.
Willa.
Yeah.
Okay, well, did we talk about The Perfect Couple already?
No, I've only seen, I think we've only watched the first episode.
What's The Perfect Couple?
Nicole Kidman.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch it?
No, I watched the first episode.
Oh, wait, I think I loved it, but maybe it's very dark, but it was good and also funny and weird, and I loved it. Watch it.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away.
She's so amazing.
All's well that ends well.
Wow. You could just see it in her face. There was not even a millisecond from when that popped into her head and out of her mouth. Boom. That's amazing.
And Left Turn and Katie Schechter. You mentioned some music that you like. You mentioned Mannequin Pussy, but also Katie Schechter, who we've had on also. When she was
really?
was she about to have?
She was like 8 or
only-
9 months.
Yeah.
Oh my
she was
God,
like,
no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta listen to that. She's funny as hell.
She's so funny. That was
I
fun.
like her. She's
Yes.
my best friend. But I have a lot of respect for her musically because she's the real deal, and the way that she looks at her art and it's an art's contribution in the form of music to the world is really beautiful. I mentioned Natalie Bergman as well. I feel like she's the same way. I put them in the same kind of category as far as like talented women of that kind of genre of music. And yeah, I just love her. Aesthetically, everything she does, I
Yes.
think is like so intentional, and she's not selling out to nobody.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's made her life professionally like maybe more difficult than it would, but respect. Like she puts a lot of work into that. And I just lyrically, I love her music. It's awesome.
Do you have the thing, or do y'all have the thing where, like, when you press play on your phone, if you don't have something else queued up, that like just something from your library starts playing? Does that happen to everybody?
I had a car that did that. I had like a Toyota 4Runner, and it was A Punk by
by
Whatever
Our
the-
Weekend?
yes,
Whatever the
because
very
it was like the first one, and so
in
I'd
the
get in my car and I'd be
library.
like, "Dee," and I was like having a bad day. Shut the fuck up. But yes, that doesn't happen to me in my new car.
That happens on my phone, and it's Katie that
Oh,
plays.
really?
So I've been listening to Elizabeth Street, and I'll just like let that play.
go.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's lovely. Makes me
She also
happy.
has such a good ear and hires like the most amazing musicians too to play. And Nick, obviously her husband being one of them, but like she really like, she's just got it. She's into music in a way that is like very pure and real, and it's cool.
Yeah. I know but just what Real Housewives shows.
Well,
never
all
gonna
of
see you
them,
again.
literally all of them. I love New Jersey because I lived on East Coast for like 14 plus years, and I think Jersey people are amazing.
Yeah.
Especially Jersey Italians. So I love that one. I love Atlanta because I think they're all so fabulous. Kim Zolciak, who is now Kim Bierman, we need to bring her back. That woman is so unhinged and amazing.
Do you think that she just got divorced from her husband, Croy? And some people said that they like made it up, but then they said like for sure they didn't, like because they were losing their house or something. I'm butchering it, I'm sure.
I don't think so, because there were like real videos of her. This is when TikTok does you good, because a lot of this ends up on TikTok. There were videos of the cops like legit coming to their house and them fighting and stuff. So
Okay.
it's sick. It's embarrassing how much information I know about these people. Like I want to unknow this shit.
About the Bravo world?
All of them. It's so gross.
I think it's fine.
Real
They all
Housewives of
got me
OC
through-
specifically grosses me out. It gives me the ick a lot.
It has before me too, but I watched it or a lot of it a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with different characters in it, especially Shannon. I think she's very funny. Like genuinely very, I knew that was going to happen. Really very funny. Okay. Well, on that note,
Circling back to mom things, is there anything for any of the, I guess, moms or non-moms listening? Anything that stuck out to you the most, or that you've learned just from watching your friends raise their kids, that how to help mother your friends while they're mothering their own kids?
Yeah. I mean, the it takes a village thing is like so real. And every time people are like, why do you live here? Why do you live in Nashville? You could live anywhere. Community. Like, it's amazing how my friends step in and help each other with the kids, pickups, meals, transportation. Like, the list is long. And I do think that contributing when I can is important. My life has been like pretty chaotic for a while and really focused on me. But when I can step out and do that, I try. But yeah, I do think that having a community is like the most important. It's everything. And if you have that, show gratitude for it. And if you don't, this is a great city to live in to find it.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think the willingness that I see from my friends befriending and helping other moms just because they are moms is so big. And I do have lots of friends in other cities. I don't know that exists outside of Nashville. I'm sure it does. I just don't know it, or I don't experience it. Women that have kids in Manhattan, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Women that have kids in LA, whole different ball game. It's like so beautiful to see. And I think we're all really lucky to have that.
the cult of moms, one might say.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
I've heard of such a place.
Yes. Weird.
It's true though.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming and spending the most time maybe of anyone ever.
Really?
I don't know. Close.
I'm sorry I didn't remember
3.
meeting you with that knife.
With that knife when you were 9, when you were 11 months pregnant.
Yeah, I was. I
Hey,
had
you're
10 days
forgiven.
later. Thank you.
But I do forever have that image in my head.
That's such a bummer because I was like 8,000 pounds. But some people are just always going to remember me that way.
It was cool. I was like, that woman's cool. I wonder what she made.
She's
She
about
needed
to
a
cut
knife
that
that big.
baby out of her stomach right now.
What did you do with that knife? I'm going to be thinking about that. Speaking of fixating.
I feel like it was a cake. Would you make a cake?
But like, was I doing something inside your house, or did I drive
Maybe it was
over
after
here?
your shower or something like that. And you were like, here's the cake knife. I don't know. I'm making shit up now.
It seems so bizarre.
But it was dark. And I was like, okay, she just creeped around the corner with that knife, fully pregnant. What's going down?
I remember it now a little bit vaguely, but I don't remember what it was for.
Well, next time we'll have
Tune
the
in
answer.
next time to see what Joy did with that knife when she was 9 months pregnant. You can follow Brooke at Arrow and Anchor.
Arrow
it
and Anchor
Antics?
Antique Stuff.
You could
Is my
subscribe.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you'd like to say? Yeah.
Arrow and Anchor Antiques is my Instagram.
Yes.
Don't expect much.
Yeah.
My Shopify website is linked to that, as well as my Substack.
Yes. And you can check out her Substack.
Or you could just
And-
call me.
Yeah, or just call her. Number is
615.
and you can follow us at Momcult Podcast, and you can listen at themomcult.com. And I'm Sarah Parker Massey, and this is Joy Todd. And thank you for listening. And I added that last part, just trying some things out.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.